in event planning, the relationships are so crucial. So how do we, from your perspective, your years of working with some very large brands, some very cool specific industries, you have such a great breadth of experience. How do we maintain being aware, being up to date, being able to utilize technology and maintain, especially in event planning, these relationships, this human element, the empathy, which is just so crucial. It's like the connective tissue of it all.
Yeah. I could probably answer this in a number of different ways. One of the lessons I've learned from working with so many organizations, not as a speaker, but as a consultant, or when I worked inside ad agencies and marketing consultancies and things like that, and just, certainly researching and doing the work I do, is that a lot of organizations, especially large organizations, seem to have, over the years, nothing to do with AI, been, it almost seems like, woefully confused as to what matters and what doesn't matter when it comes to customer relationships. And the easy and obvious examples are, look at the way organizations over the years have sought to do anything and everything possible to distance themselves from the customer support call. Right? It went to call trees, it got outsourced to other countries, or even just outsourced in the country. Now, of course, you've got organizations saying, let the chatbot handle it, right? But what is the most valuable thing between a company and its customer? That direct line of interaction, right? But that's the first thing most companies look to outsource or defray the cost of, and they devalue it, right? So I think in this day and age, especially because there is the ability to automate so many different types of tasks with AI, it's critically important that you make an informed and considered decision around what should be automated. Right? At the end of the day, anything that can be automated will be automated. But really be smart about making those decisions, and really think through even just your individual day job. Every job is a collection of tasks. There is a whole bunch of those tasks are going to be automatable. And that's probably not where you are creating your most value, right? It's important. I'm not saying it's not important to do scheduling and follow-up emails, like these kind of rote and routine things. But that's not how you create your value in all.
All right. So, Greg, let's thread the needle, because this is, take it a little bit further. So what can be automated, right? And the idea is freed up for more relationships, more creativity, connecting in a more real, meaningful way, I think you said earlier. Yeah. So for leaders that are involved in that, right, how can they make the smart decision, the important decision? And this is like, now we're getting onto the psychologists or the psychiatrists. We're getting onto the couch here. Keeping your workforce, your people engaged, at the same time knowing that you're taking tasks out of their hand, right? It's like this needle to thread. And then maybe one or two real life examples where there's a conflict or a healthy kind of confrontation between a couple of activities or rote things that you do daily, and why do you choose to automate one and not the other?
Sure. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you've touched on a couple of things.
And I do run-on sentence, compound questions. I mix metaphors. I mix generations. So, I'm only human.
I know. I do the same thing with my answers. So one thing I heard in there was this sort of friction that exists between what people are doing and what they could or should be doing, and how this potentially is threatening, which is essentially at the core of the AI will take my job conversation, right? For better or for worse, I think a lot of jobs inside organizations are kind of defined around a lot of the rote, routine, repeatable tasks, right? It's a factory kind of mentality for this sort of post-factory knowledge economy we work in. There is this fear that gets created around, I'm a customer support person at a member support at an association, let's say. And a lot of my time is spent fielding incoming inquiries from our members with the same kinds of questions over and over and over. When does my membership renew? What's my membership rate? Which tier did I qualify for again? When's your conference? What time does it begin? Like all
How
these
do
kind
I
of simple things.
register?
Right. How do I register? Is it, I locked myself out of my members only section of the website. How do I get back in? Right. That might be 40, 50, 70% of sometimes of somebody's job. Every one of those routine and repeatable member inquiries can be automated, right? Can be handled. A lot of it can be handled by a vanilla chatbot, and then by a generative AI chatbot, and very soon by an AI agent who can unlock your account for you and provide you with a new password credential or whatever. Who can send you the receipt after you've done a transaction, whatever the case may be. But a lot of our, and it kind of goes to the notion of busyness and productivity, right? If that's 70% of your time, you're productive if you've handled it, you've cleared your queue. Leadership needs to be very clear that they are reprioritizing, redefining, and redesigning your role in a way that benefits not just the organization, but also you as an individual contributor. So a lot of that comes down to change management, to communication,
Right.
to being open and honest and having a legitimate process around how you roll these things out thoughtfully. And some of those things that I just rattled through are some very real things. We're working with one association where we are working with their membership service organization. We're working across the organization, but when we talk to their membership service people, the number of specific things that they're doing that are so repeatable and so automatable, like handling these routine. An email comes in, somebody looking to know when their membership renews, and somebody has to go into the system, look up their record, find that
Email them.
information, email it back out. When you can automate all of that, that takes a huge load off of somebody's plate, so they can do what? Deal with the more complicated requests,
Right.
deal with an angry member who maybe isn't getting value, and help that member understand how to get more value, come up with new program ideas that can make membership more valuable, right? There's a lot of things that you can do to spend your time that are going to be more valuable for more rewarding, I think, for the individual, right? More valuable to the association, better to the member, or better to the attendee in the case of an event that's not an association event. So it's looking for these things that you spend a lot of time on that tend not to have a whole lot of reward attached to them, right? And that are often repeatable, right? Are you, or even better, multiple people across your organization doing that same thing over and over and over and over and over again? And then there are, of course, other areas where maybe it's not a core competency. And I don't know if you have a no bad language rule for your show,
No,
but
not at all.
and this is not really a particularly bad word, but I feel like if you suck, AI can make you suck less, right? But it won't
Mhm.
make you a superhero. But
If
there are
you're a
some things
dirty
that,
shirt, you might get a little bit cleaner, maybe.
right? And like, not, all of us suck at something, right? Um, and like if you're not a great writer and you find yourself struggling into kind of burning the midnight oil to come up with 5 different ways to summarize an abstract, or to
Yeah.
rewrite a session description, or to create social media posts after the keynote or
Yeah.
whatever, right? That's something that it's just not in your core competency, that you can lean on AI to do even a little bit better, and that
Yeah.
if that saves you time and produces a better outcome,
Yeah.
then
No, and
now.
and I think how we're using it in my own organization, the Keynote Curators, is, Greg, I'm auditing. I'm a small organization, but we're really looking at, from my perspective, what are these things that you're exactly talking about that are repeatable, that are low hanging fruit, level one type activity,
Right.
and then asking my team, we're now going to recover some of this time. How can we redirect it? Where do you see, not like a menu of options, but the things that are coming back as ideas are great. And I feel like the feedback I've gotten is that our team, our people feel, dare I say, more empowered, or that there's a little bit of a shift in their skill and it's being leveraged or utilized, or it has a different kind of frame on which to kind of grow and
Yeah.
live, as opposed to I'm making the donuts again, and it becomes very rote and
Right.
you feel kind of
Yeah.
smaller and minimized,
Yeah, and
So
it sounds, I mean, yeah, it sounds maybe a little bit kinda, I don't know, is it Pollyanna to put it
sure.
this way, but certainly it sounds trite, but, you know as a speaker or even as a consultant in many cases, like, it's not my job to tell you whether you should use AI to reduce headcount, grow headcount, keep headcount the same. Your CFO is probably gonna make that decision based on the economics of your business, but at the end of the day, I do firmly believe that we have an obligation to our workforce, the people in our organizations, to empower them with this technology and to
Yeah.
elevate them with this
Yeah.
technology. It should not be a technology that's used to kind of drive people down to the lowest common denominator. It should be the
Yeah.
other way around. Empower them to do the things that are bigger and better.
I mean, look, I'm an FOX. I'm a full-on Xer. So thank God thank goodness my team are not Xers or boomers. They're the younger
Yeah.
generation, and they're leaning into it, and I'm learning from them. And um, just that, I mean, you can use the word empower, but to really, it's a challenge. Okay, I'm now offloading. I'm a ship. I'm going to take the cargo that is rote and repeatable. And now with that empty space, you can do anything. What are you going to do? And I'm not trying to falsely inflate my people, but I'm saying, okay, the uniqueness of your skill set is now in the spotlight. Let it shine, and uh it's not going to be covered. That light's not going to be covered by, oh god, I have to go make another donut, metaphorically speaking.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.